let's do it.
This is Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
On the beatbox.
Mm-hmm.
What was that about?
It was a little Tone Loc.
Let's
do it.
Because you said let's do it before you hit record. I don't know
Okay.
if it got picked up. It may have been before or after you hit record.
Yeah.
So
It's being annoying.
Oh,
well,
stick with what you know. That's what I say.
All right, we are here. We've been talking about dead guys all month.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight,
Very upbeat.
we're going to talk about a guy who's still alive and remade a classic movie.
Yes, although one of the key actors from this movie is dead.
True.
Yes.
Not to die this
And he's
year,
referenced a lot.
Yes, he is.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about Christmas. We're going to release this at a special time. We don't even know yet. So whenever you hear this, it's whenever Pete just decides we're going to throw this one out. But we want it out before Christmas just to give you a little gift.
That's right.
That's my Christmas gift to you guys is that, I can't let you unwrap it beforehand. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yep.
And it will just show up. And if you're on automatic download, as you all should be, it's just going to show up. It'll just be there. You're not even going to be expecting it.
It'll slide right down your Christmas ear hole.
You're going to want to, enjoy this one because we're going to be doing our little kind of break like last year. We'll be putting out a couple in January, but it's going to be maybe two more.
Yeah.
And we'll resume in full force in February.
That is correct.
And you might want to listen to this one 2 or 3 times, probably.
Right. Yep. Oh, for sure.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about it. Give a Christmas gift to your friends.
That's the gift you can give us.
Instead of going out to the store and fighting traffic and people and everything like that. And it's totally free. Just tell them, give them the gift by writing it down on a piece of paper, putting it in an envelope, and inform them of Pop Culture Yearbook. That would be the best.
Just like sneak it into their back pocket or something when they're not expecting it, or somewhere on their person.
Yep. And like Cousin Eddie says, that's the gift. That's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year, Clark.
Yep, because you can listen to it over and over.
We got one that comes out pretty much every week. So
I believe this is episode 92 now.
Holy Toledo.
92.
Oh my God. We better do something big for 100.
I hope so.
we are. We have that one planned out.
And how?
But don't tell them yet. Don't tell the listeners yet.
All right. Well, we are all about nostalgia here at Pop Culture Yearbook. And the movie we're talking about, A Christmas Story, is steeped in nostalgia. That's the whole movie.
Oh, my God.
So
it's all about nostalgia.
Are you okay?
Yes.
So we're going to get to that in a minute, but we thought, well, in true Pop Culture Yearbook fashion, we'll talk about some of our own nostalgia quick first. So we decided to share some Christmas traditions because watching this movie, for example, is a Christmas tradition that I have, and there's a lot of traditions in this movie that were brought back into the new version that just came out.
Yep.
So in our own real lives, what are some Christmas traditions that you guys would want to share?
Well, growing up, and Brad, you and I share a lot of these memories too, because we went to the same church. It was always Christmas Eve that there was the candlelight service at our First English Lutheran Church in Tyler. And we have talked about on this show before, the drummer of Preacher Rowe was a great singer along with his brother, and they always sang O Holy Night. And that was a big tradition for us. And then after that great singer? Service,
is this another In Memoriam?
Oh no! Oh my God! I had no idea. I meant to say he is, but he back. You know what I mean? Shut up.
Know. Just busting your chops.
But then we would always
another Christmas tradition.
It was always Christmas Eve that we would go home, and that's when we'd open presents. You'd get up the next morning, and Santa came, and we had a fireplace and everything, and we had a nice mantle and chimney, the whole works. And so that was kind of our traditions growing up.
Now, are you talking about on your farm?
Yeah.
We had a fireplace. Where was your fireplace?
It was in the basement.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe I can picture that.
Yeah, we had our TV on the left.
Been
If
a
you were
long
facing the
time
fireplace,
since I've
the
been in that
TV was
house.
always on the left. Yep, me too. But yeah, and actually now the tradition for Christmas is pretty similar. We go to church and then we come home. We'll do presents. It varies a little bit more now. But that's kind of what we do. We'll get up, and my wife is way better at handling a lot of the Christmas stuff. She's awesome for doing the Santa Claus stuff, and we still do the Elf on a Shelf, even though our kids are a little old for it. They still ask for
really?
it, and yeah, I mean our 10-year-old absolutely loves it, and so we have to move that.
Do you
thing
put him
around.
in like dirty, suggestive poses like some people do?
It's yeah. We don't, but I've tried it a couple of times when the kids aren't looking. But
there you go.
No, we don't do a ton of that actually. But yeah, it's that's pretty much it for our traditions.
How about you,
Giff? Turn it over to Gifford.
Well, when we were growing up, my big thing when we were decorating was I would help Mom decorate, and of course we get the real tree, and I'd have to lay all the Christmas lights out on the carpet and check every bulb, because back then if one bulb was out, the whole thing didn't work.
If I were you, Clark, I'd get up there and check every bulb.
Yep, those bulbs aren't twinkling, Clark.
Thank you for noticing.
So that was one big thing. The other thing I remember was when we'd set up the nativity scene. So let's say this is, 3 weeks before Christmas, we're getting all this stuff set up. So we'd set up the nativity. I'd go out to the barn. I'd get real straw out of the hayloft.
Did you have live animals in your house in a nativity scene?
No.
That'd be awesome.
But we had.
Did you put the baby Jesus in sexually suggestive poses?
Jesus. That's too far, Pete.
No.
Yeah, that might be too far. But that is because you did the same thing on Elf on the Shelf. I had.
I was referring to reality.
The reason that I did that.
I'm not going to hell for my country.
All right, moving on. So we'd set up the nativity scene, but of course, you couldn't put Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus in the nativity scene until Christmas Eve. So I would hide the baby Jesus in like one of our
I didn't see this story coming.
End tables.
This has comedy
and a door on it.
I
just put it because we put it in the living room. So I'd put the baby Jesus in one of the end tables that had a door, and then what I would do is I would take a donkey and Mary and Joseph, and I would put them on a windowsill, and every day I would move them around the house, getting closer
on their journey
to the nativity scene.
I get it. That's
and then
good.
On Christmas Eve,
you are religious.
They would reach the nativity scene, and then I would go get baby Jesus, and I'd put him in there, and that would be one of the things that I did on Christmas Eve.
That is just cute.
That's actually really good, Gifford, and I'm sorry that I joked about it.
Well, what I was more worried about when I said I took Mary, Joseph, and the donkey, and I was worried about what you're going to say about the donkey there.
I thought you could have made an ass joke there out of that for sure.
Sure.
And you refrained, and I'm proud of you for doing so.
Well, excellent.
I will say, sorry, I thought you were done.
Go ahead. I got a couple more, but
he's not done.
I was just going to say, because you made me think of another tradition that's more recent for us. You said you got a real tree. That's something that we didn't used to do until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. We started getting our own real tree. We get it around Thanksgiving, and that's another tradition that we have now, and we love doing it because it's easy to do. It's easier than you think, people. So you should go do it. You go out, they give you the saw, you cut down the tree, you
pour it out of the ground with my own bare hands.
Why don't you bend over and I'll show you.
They shake it and wrap it for you. You put it in the van, and then bring it home, set it up. It's actually easier.
That's pretty cool.
Than having an artificial tree.
We did do that for a while, and I always thought it was always better in your head, the idea of cutting down the tree and having a real tree, than in reality.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But I
A lot
will
of
say,
sap
I
in
love
here.
it.
so what if I can just interject,
No, go ahead.
you brought it up. So one of my favorite memory of that though is my wife and I bought a townhouse in the year 2000, and it was right before Christmas. And that year, my dad and I went and cut a tree down. But then the next year, they started selling Boy Scout wreaths at the YMCA, which was about half a mile up the road. And we walked up there and bought a tree and walked it home together.
Oh,
Oh, we thought
that's
that was so
nice.
cute. It was
Yep.
like in When Harry Met Sally.
Yep.
So that's my favorite, like, real tree memory is us doing that together. But we both decided
Wow.
it's so much easier and cleaner to have fake trees that we just put them up all over our house.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
not a
see,
matter.
so when I
For
was
us, it's
growing
not
up,
even a clean thing. It still does. It doesn't make that much of a mess. It's not too bad. I mean, you just sweep it up. We got hardwood floors, and it's easy to clean. I don't know. We love it.
sure.
Everything you just said is wrong, Brad.
Well, so when I was growing up, I was kind of I always insisted that mom and dad get a real tree because I like the smell of it. But of course,
Ah.
when Courtney and I bought our first place, like I went and bought a fake tree pre-lit. It's like so much easier. I don't even take the tree
Oh,
down. I
that's
just
another
move
thing,
it
though.
into the basement and I don't even take it apart. Like
We don't do the pre-lit trees anymore though because they go
Oh, those
out
are
and it's such
terrible.
a waste. So we buy the
They are terrible.
fake trees, put our own lights on them. They'll last forever now.
oh, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
pre-lit
Those
trees are
pre-lit
the
trees, a
worst.
strand will go out. They don't work. Every year it's something new. Oh, I
You
hate
just
those.
find the bulb that's out. You fix it.
Yeah. Too
That
bad.
was
I
what
don't. I
caused
think
us.
the
It's funny you
problem
said
is
that. That's what caused us to say, fuck it, and go get our own tree. Or a
So
real
so
tree.
we're
because
all on
right
the
on
same
Christmas.
page then.
He's got the. Well, I'm not. I still get the pre-lit tree, but
But you
I
get that.
think-
We get the fake tree, put our lights on. Peak. I mean, so we're all on the same page, but we're all completely under.
For rationale. Yeah.
I don't know what I was saying.
We're all
All
on
right.
the same page, but completely different
So
paragraphs.
so for as an adult now, some of the traditions we have. Of course, every year I got to watch Christmas Vacation, Elf, and Love Actually. At some point leading up. Usually we try to watch Christmas Vacation when we've got the family over, and then we host Christmas Eve. So my brother-in-law and his wife come over, and Grandma and Grandpa come by, and so we'll have Christmas here and with the kids, and it's usually a pretty good time. So that's kind of what we do every year for Christmas now.
All right. So as Pete said, I went to church and we did our Christmas presents on Christmas Eve too as a kid, and I always loved that. And then you get the Santa presents in the morning, so you got them twice. But my wife does not do that. So our new tradition is Christmas morning that's sacred. That's when the presents are for the kids.
Mhm.
So you never know where Christmas Eve could be with who knows what family or where,
Mhm.
but it's none of the big presents. They're all Christmas morning now.
Okay.
My two traditions that I love and have continued from I was a kid. Well, they started before me. I was a kid. Now
There's
we do them
Christmas
for our
before
kids.
you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the one is early in the season, we always get together as a family and we make pepper nuts, which is a small Danish, like little cookie. It's just a little round, like thumb-sized round cookie. And you have to get the dough and you have to roll the dough out and cut them in about the same size. And then everybody sits around and they take the little tiny pieces and they have to roll them together in their hands to form a ball before they go in the oven to be cooked. And so it's a whole group project and we listen to Christmas music and it's an excuse to get together. And so my kids love to do it too. And so we've done that for my entire life and from before that. The other tradition that my wife despises, but that we've kept going as long as possible, is Advent calendars. Because when I say Advent calendars, most people think of like a little box with like a chocolate in it or like just some little thing. Now, our Advent calendars growing up were freaking awesome.
Yeah, I remember.
They
coming
had
to your
real
house.
presents on them, 24 days in a row. My mom would wrap them all individually and tie them on. At the Advent calendars also were like they were cross stitched by so like mine was made by my grandma, and then once I got kids, my mom put my son's name on it, and so the firstborn got that one with their name on it, and then my daughter got it. My mom made a new one for her. So from the grandmas, they would come down. So that's tradition that's not going to continue because nobody cross stitches and it's not going to last. But
Doesn't sound like Kim is real keen on it.
But
She'd
no,
be the one
she
cross. You could cross
wanted.
stitch.
We did all the presents forever, and see, she would always take it upon herself to buy the presents, and she felt it was so much pressure to live up to how cool they were, and she would like want me to help, but she would never take any of my advice. Like, let's just do this. So it got to be kind of that way. But the kids love them. It's fun. And so this year they weren't even going to get them anymore. But I went out and I simplified it and I came up with a plan. And she's like, "That's great." And she finally just let go and let me do it. And it's like, I've been willing to do this for a while.
Right.
But and I wrapped every present and put them. I mean, it did the whole thing. And so they are getting them again this year. It could be one of the last times because my son's a junior, and I did get him into college. Like, I actually took my advent calendar. I would get it on Thanksgiving when I went home. It would hang in my dorm room, and like I still got them up basically until we got married. We all got them.
Oh, really?
That's not going to be
on day one.
That's not going to be the case with our kids, but. But so they were great. And as a kid, they're wonderful because you get, some days they weren't a big deal. It's just a little piece of candy maybe. But like I would get Garfield books on them. You get Christmas tree ornaments. I mean, all kinds of just different stuff. And so that was a tradition that I loved and I tried to continue again.
Well, and that's the best, some of the best part of the season is the traditions and holding on to those and passing them along. So yeah, I love that you still do that. That's awesome.
Yes. All right. So that is some of our memories. Now this movie's all about memories. We're going to talk about A Christmas Story. And by the way, we've already mentioned Christmas Vacation like 8 times. We have an episode on Christmas Vacation. If you are listening to this and are not aware, we did it. It would have been like episode, I don't know, 30. It goes way back.
July.
The first season.
It was in July. Because
so if you want to listen to that, please look it up.
Vacation.
We also last year did episodes on Elf and Love Actually, the movies that you just named, Gifford.
Mm-hmm.
So we have other Christmas ones. We also have an episode on Christmas music, which we are all big fans of. So you can find those and listen to those. And so that brought us to what should we do this year? And so we picked A Christmas Story because Peter Billingsley, Ralphie, who was in Elf, who we've talked about, has just made a new updated version of that movie called A Christmas Story Christmas, which is on HBO. And we've all watched that, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to talk about the original first. And that's going to be our focus here.
Yay!
I don't know if you guys have any memories of this movie, but I do remember seeing this movie in the theater. And I don't know, this is so long ago. I would have been 7 years old, basically. Eight, I guess. But my memory is it was my mom and my siblings went, but not my dad. And I don't remember why or if that's even accurate. But in my head, we went to this in the movie theater, and I thought it was great as a kid. And I rewatched it I watched it every year probably ever since.
Right.
And it's got all these iconic scenes and moments, which we'll get into. It became a big hit with the 24 hours in a row on TBS. Because the thing is then, if you didn't own like a copy of it, you couldn't watch it. You had to wait until Christmas Eve. It was like the only way you could watch the movie. So I think that maybe gained more of a thirst for it.
Sure. Right. Yeah, you couldn't stream it whenever you wanted to.
You know what I find interesting about this? This movie was set in 1940.
Yep.
Which means, I did this in my head here, that means that you think about how long ago that seemed at the time it was made. If they made a movie now, it would be set right around 1983. And, it doesn't seem like that long.
Right now.
Yeah.
So the gap from now to back then is about the same as the gap from when it came out to when it was set. And that kind of blows my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes sense because that's about the phase of life that he is in, too.
Yep.
I mean, he's got the younger children and... so yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So do either of you remember like seeing it or anything?
I'll say this. I don't remember seeing it for the first time, just because I just saw it so many times on TV and whatever. But but I have actually been to the house in Cleveland.
You have?
I have.
Why
We
do I
went
not?
to it was one of the tourist attractions that we wanted to see in Cleveland, and we got to see
Yeah.
it from the outside. You can walk around the outside of the house. We did not get to go into the house, but you can look in the windows and everything and go on the front porch.
You can go in
Um,
though, can't you?
I think you can if
Yeah.
you
Because
go.
I
I
looked
think
it
it
up
was
and I
like
thought it was like a
closed.
museum.
I think it was closed. There's a museum
There's a
across.
gift
There's a
shop
gift
across the
shop
street.
across the street
Oh,
actually that
all
we
right.
went to.
I don't know.
And the gift shop sells a whole bunch of Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation stuff. And when we were there, they had Christmas Vacation playing on the screens nonstop. But I've been there. It was actually, I think it might have been the same day or the same trip that we saw the Twins play in Cleveland. So that was fun. It was on our way back from Niagara Falls, and so we did a few things in Cleveland. We also saw the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I would recommend. And so yeah, it was really cool just seeing it, and it looks exactly like it does in the movie. I
And
think
it's
I
a
just
big.
read,
It's in the new movie too. They use the
and
house and it's they
Right.
go back to
that's
it.
right. But I think I just read that this month they put the house up for sale or they
Yeah.
sold it. So it's been in the news this month.
Oh,
Yep.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Well,
So there
for
you go.
me, I think probably I saw this movie in its entirety maybe 15 years ago for the first time. I
Oh,
didn't
really?
watch it growing up. At least I don't remember watching it when I was younger. So I tend to watch this probably every other year or so. Like you say, it's on TBS, so for 24 hours. So usually I'll
But now
catch it
it's
at some point.
on more. It's not just on Christmas Eve anymore.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's been on this year already. I've seen it on.
Okay. So, I mean, I think it's just such a cute movie. Even though I didn't watch it growing up, so I don't necessarily have the nostalgia of it as a young child. I think it does such a wonderful job of capturing that
Yes.
that I was just drawn to it. Obviously, I didn't grow up in Cleveland or Indiana. Houghton or what's
But
the
it
name
feels
of
like
it?
a small town.
Terre Haute.
Yeah, it's
Going
a
to
small
school,
town.
running
and-
through the snow. I mean,
Yep.
we all relate. His Red Ryder BB gun was my Nintendo. I mean, it's
Well, and I had a BB gun like that when I was growing up. It was the lever action BB gun. We got it from the estate sale of my.
Did you shoot your eye out?
No, I did not. My grandparents' estate sale when Grandma moved off the farm. We got two of them, and Dad bought them, one for me and one for my brother. But kind of a similar gun. Obviously, not quite as nice as that one. It didn't have a compass in the stock and a thing that tells time, but it was still pretty cool, and I loved having that gun.
I had a
Good thing
BB
I got
gun
a
as well,
compass and a
believe it or
stock.
not. Believe it or not, because you know how I feel about the firearms and the whole thing. I had a BB gun growing up on the farm,
Oh, for
and
sure.
I used it quite frequently.
Yeah. I used
and
one all the
I
time.
enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed using it.
Yeah, it's great.
I did not. My brother did. I mean, I had shot one, but most of my BB gun experience was with my son in Boy Scouts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
One of my
I did
favorite
that
things
too
to
with
do
my
with the
son.
BB gun growing up, we lived on a dairy farm. So we had a lot of feral cats just running around. You couldn't really pet them or anything. So after a rain, there would be all these
no.
mud puddles around the yard, and
I see where this is going.
the cats would go drink out of the mud puddles, and if you shot the mud puddle, and it would splash a little bit, and then the cat would
so
get
you
freaked
didn't
out.
kill the cats.
No, I'm not
Okay,
shooting cats.
Oh,
Come on.
okay.
Oh, I thought that's where it was
God,
going.
no,
They were
no.
feral
But if you
cats. I
shot-
thought you were shooting the cat.
No.
All right, that's a
we
very
never-
humane way to do it.
We never had
appreciate that.
any mice on our farm because we had so many cats.
Speaking of shooting things, though, my brother, who you might know, and he's not a gun guy, but he grew up on the farm, older than me, more of a farm kid, and plenty of BB guns and such. He still shoots rabbits and critters in his backyard, in the backyard of Eagan, Minnesota, regularly.
with a BB gun.
With whatever he's got, a BB gun or some kind of air rifle thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
So he's killed many rabbits. He's killed many things, and he just loves to talk about that.
Does
That's
he make
actually what I
Hassan
did.
pepper?
Because they ruin his stuff. They go and they eat his stuff, and so you gotta
Oh,
get rid
his
of him.
garden. Yeah.
I
Okay.
killed rabbits when I had my BB gun on the farm. That was what I did.
But see, this
Yes.
is not on a farm. This is right in the
I
middle
know.
of the city.
I know. I don't even feel good about it. I'm not even going to go too much into detail, but there was one rabbit that ended it for me.
His
And
name Bugs?
probably the way that I hit him, it was not
Were
good.
you wearing a hat with floppy ears?
Yeah.
It's wabbit season.
And it was the last time I think I ever shot a BB gun because I just felt so guilty after taking out this one
Pete.
rabbit. So anyway,
All
we
right.
digress. Go on.
Well,
All right.
I got a couple things. Got a couple things on this movie here. So it came out November 18th of 1983, and it came out so early that the original run ended before Christmas. And because of public outrage at the theaters, they actually brought it back for Christmas on its original run.
That's an interesting fact.
So this movie had a $3.3 million budget. It brought in 20.8 at the box office. In 2012, it was selected to the U.S. National Film Registry. It also inspired the making of The Wonder Years.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And one other thing I just wanted to mention. So obviously Ralphie is our main character, and Ralphie is on the screen all the time, but he only has 93 lines of dialogue in this entire movie.
Really? Because of the voiceover?
Because of the narrator.
Huh.
And the narrator, of course, is the writer of the film, and that is Gene Shepard. And we see Gene Shepard in the movie.
Oh, who is that? I guess I forgot.
So when they go in to see Santa Claus and they step into the line at the bottom of the stairs, the gentleman who tells them where
the line starts back there.
Yep, that's
really
that's the
really, huh? I did not know that.
I'm surprised I didn't know that too.
The line ends here. It starts back there.
Hey, kid.
But I just love that voice, and that was the thing that really threw me when we watched the new one. Is the narrator voice is so good,
Peter Billingsley, isn't it?
No, not according to what I looked up.
Oh, I guess I didn't even. I just thought it was,
The gentleman that I found as narrator is uncredited again, just like Gene was in the first one, but the voice was so similar.
I thought assumed it was the same guy. Did he die?
I'm assuming. I shouldn't assume. Let me look.
Probably.
Because I thought it sounded just like him, and I thought it was great.
Let me see here. Do they have it on here? He passed in 99.
Oh.
Did you have anywhere on your notes or gift that this was directed by the same director as Porky's?
Porky's 2. And here's a fun little fact. So he also directed Baby Geniuses.
Yep.
And Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2. The reason I bring that
Quite the mix.
The reason I bring that up is because there was a set of triplets in those movies. They went by the names of Leo, Miles, and Jerry Fitzgerald. Those three boys would grow up to play Division I hockey for BSU Beavers for 4 years here in Bemidji.
Wow. Okay.
So I just wanted a little tie into Bemidji with our director for the evening. So he did say that the fact that he directed Porky's and Porky's 2, the success of those is what gave him the latitude to make this movie, because those had good success. So he was able to make this movie based off of those earlier successes.
All right. So we'll run through this like we normally do, but we're going to try to keep this a little bit quicker. A lot of people probably have seen this movie, so we'll kind of, hit the big parts that we all love. I do love the opening of this movie. I love the music, the music playing, the bells ringing, and how they're in this like bustling downtown. You feel like you're in a big city, but you can't really tell what city this is. Like what, because there's a big department store, but back in 1940, maybe that was normal in lots of
Well,
places.
I always assumed they were in Chicago.
That's what I always thought too, but I don't think they are.
No, they're in a
Yeah.
they're in a town in Indiana.
It's called Holman.
Holman, Indiana.
Well, that's
yes.
in the new one. They
Yeah.
say that, yeah.
But that's the
So kind of a suburb.
But even in the first one, their car has Indiana plates, so they're in a city in Indiana.
Well, they could always be living in Indiana and be going to Chicago because it's right there.
Sure,
I mean,
but
people can do that. I'm just
Right.
saying, people can drive across state lines, Gifford.
The thing I liked is the movie does start with "Deck the Halls," which is the same song that Christmas Vacation starts with once they get into the live action as they're driving to get their Christmas tree.
But you've got the kids, you've got the nostalgia right off the bat because it's 1983, but it's set in 1940, and it's just so perfectly set in time. Even though I don't know what 1940 looked like, but it's so well done, and the kids in the department store window looking at the presents, and they're just in awe. It's just it's perfect start. Sets it off right away.
And I always compared it. I always assumed Higbee's was supposed to be Macy's.
Like any or
Macy's.
like
and if you go downtown Minneapolis,
Gimbals,
right?
Yes,
Gimbals,
yes.
sure.
Yep. Dayton's.
But there's a lot of similarities. If you would go downtown Minneapolis, and Macy's always did their big thing, and
that used to be a
that
tradition that we had, but we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, us too.
Yep.
Right.
I think we all went together one
year. Do you guys
that...
remember? Yeah, we went the year and we went to eat out at Basil's in the IDS Crystal Court, and like everything's gone now. Like you can't do any of that anymore. That was such a great memory. It was the six of us after we had all met our
year of that they did Harry Potter, right?
I don't remember what the thing was. It would have been, I think, before they did a Harry Potter one.
Oh, that's the one I remember going to was the first Harry Potter.
But I remember the year I'm talking about, it was specifically us three and our wives went down for the parade.
Yep.
Went to Dayton's and went out to eat, and it was very memorable. We get to the house. The mom is yelling. The brothers are fighting. I love how the parents' bedroom has two beds.
Yep.
Back then. And we get to the breakfast table, and we start up with, he's got to set the seed for what he wants. And so he's already been in her magazine and put the picture in there. But I love how he brings
Look magazine, by the way.
Look magazine. He brought up how his friend saw grizzly bears.
Yes.
That's going to be the key to helping his parents think, yeah, you need a BB gun because there's grizzly bears in the neighborhood.
Right. Well, and I think that was one of the things that I loved about this movie is that just the conniving nature of Ralphie.
Yes.
He's
so innocent too.
Right.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Which I kind of related to. Like I seemed innocent, but really I was a conniving little, kid who was trying to get what he wanted. Yeah.
We all knew.
So the BB gun comes up and we get the first utterance of "You'll shoot your eye out."
Mm-hmm.
And we also get the first dream sequence, which is a running thing in the movie. Yep. And, in his mind, he pictures all these bad guys and he shoots them and saves everybody. So we get our first instance of that and why this gun is so important, because he's gonna save lives and he's gonna protect everybody.
So fun fact here, in that dream sequence, he's got his like Roy Rogers outfit on, and and he's got the chewing tobacco going, which I thought was funny. They actually gave him real chewing tobacco, and the actor got extremely sick from that.
Wow.
So they ended up using raisins, and then he would spit and it would be like a brown. But yeah, the first time it came around, they actually gave him real chewing tobacco, and that didn't go over so well.
So
early on, though,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think you're getting a little ahead. I do want to establish the dad character because I thought,
he's there too.
He's the best one in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who is just called the Old Man, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, he did. I was wondering if he even had a name.
I don't think so. I think he's credited as the Old Man.
Based on what I found, I believe it was. Well, you guys keep going. I'll find it.
But you had to look this up, right? I mean, I think in the movie,
I believe
he's
it was
only referred to as the Old Man.
Correct. Yes, he is only referred to as the Old Man.
But I just love how his character is and how he's. They establish right away that he's sitting at the kitchen table. He's always got his newspaper, and there's something different. And he's starting off by doing the crossword puzzle. He loves doing the crossword puzzles, and of course, he enters the contest later, which we'll talk about. But then, how the mom is the smarter one. It's like, what's the Lone Ranger's nephew's horse name? And she just right away blurts out Victor. Like, how the hell did you know that? Come on, everybody knows that.
Oh, it's so good.
And that's so that's Darren McGavin is the old man, and we talked about him before because he is also in Billy Madison.
Yep.
He's
also in the movie The Natural, by the way.
Oh yeah, he is just such a perfect. Well, both parents are.
Yes.
They're so perfect. They interact great. They're great. The way they treat the kid, the whole thing is just. I can't imagine them doing a better job.
They really.
So he's not alive.
Perfect parents. Yes.
But Melinda Dillon, who played the mom, is alive, and I wish she would have been in the new version, but they had to recast her because either she, I guess I read she retired from acting, so.
Right, and she would be probably a little. Well, I don't know. Would she?
Yeah, I mean, would she be? I think I looked it up. She'd be early 80s, which
she could have did it. Yeah,
depends on what kind of.
Maybe her health was questionable. The actress they had was
Julie
about
Haggard.
in her 80s, probably. Yeah.
Airplane.
The old man's name is Frank.
But how do you know that? Like,
I believe it was something when he gets his major award. There was something about on the. There's something where
I thought she said it too, because
I don't think so.
No, but anyway, that's supposedly his name.
As long as we're talking about him, I love the line. Oh, sorry, this is kind of in that same part too, where he's fixing the furnace, and then the line. Some men are Baptists, others are Catholic. My father was an Oldsmobile man. And then and he's working on the furnace, and it's like the tapestry of obscenity that, as far as we know, is still hanging somewhere over Lake Michigan.
Well, and it's just so wonderful how, I mean, to me, it sounds like Yosemite Sam.
Right, because he's not actually swearing, but I think we're supposed to understand he really is swearing in real life.
Yes.
But in the movie, it's racka-fracka, fada-binga.
It's just so good. Well, and we see that later, too, when Ralphie's having his fight. He does the same deal, just so good.
So after breakfast, we get the kids on the way to school, and this is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. Randy, his little brother Randy, in his snowsuit, and he is the whiniest kid ever, but he can't put his arms down. I can't put my arms down. And she tries to put them down, and they flop back up. She says, "You'll put your arms down when you get to school."
So when
a tick about to pop.
When I think of this movie, the first thing that comes to my mind is Randy in that snowsuit down on the ground, and he can't get up. Like that there's so many iconic things in this movie, but that's the first thing my brain goes to is Randy in his snowsuit.
Okay, so they get to school, and we right off the bat have one of the most, again, there's iconic thing after iconic thing. We should be drinking game here. But they get around the flagpole, and they're talking about your tongue getting stuck, and Flick doesn't buy it, and he gets triple dog dared, and he gets his tongue stuck. And I love how they all go in because the bell rang, and he's yelling, "Come back! Don't leave me! Come back!" And I love how Ralphie's just like, "The bell rang."
Right? Yeah. These are the rules. Those are the rules. You got to go.
So I mean, that's probably what I'm sure a large amount of people think of first of its movie is that. And there's Gifford. You love Scrubs. There's the current commercial with JD and Turk, and JD puts his tongue on a flagpole, and it's all reference back to this.
Yep.
In that scene, I'm curious to get your opinion if you thought the same thing. But in that scene, and all of the scenes from behind the school, where there's a shot of the back of the school, and this is how a lot of schools were constructed back then. But I keep thinking it looks exactly like the middle school that we went to, the Russell School.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so that's part of what it takes me back because,
nice.
It just adds to the memory because that's how the kids acted and how we all did. And so it just adds to it for me.
Well, a couple things on this scene is, of course, all the kids are amazed that the fire department and the police show up. And even Harry Dunn knows all you need is a cup of warm water. But they just pull him off the flagpole. The other thing I loved was when the teacher's asking where Flick is, and finally one of the little girls like
Just
points
points
towards the window, and all the kids get up to go to the window except for Ralphie and
Yep.
Schwartz stay in their chairs because they know they're guilty of this.
with their head in their hands. Well, and guilty. Ralphie didn't do anything.
No, but I mean those
They
three
do.
are thick as thieves, you know.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, we get to
He did not
school.
report it, by the way.
On the way home from school, we get our first meeting with Scott Farkas, which
Mhm.
all my life I thought his name was Scott,
Scott, yep.
but I had the captions on in the new movie, and then I noticed his name is Scut.
Scut.
S-U-C-T or
Right.
S-C-U-T.
UT, yep.
Which I guess is interesting, but whatever. I always thought his name was Scott Farkas.
And I love
But-
the Peter and the Wolf music
Yes,
when he
yes.
comes in.
And the speeding up, running, and then we get that running theme. Every time they go home from school, there's all these little instances of them running and sprinting home and being chased, and it's just back and forth, which is all foreshadowing the big moment of this.
Right.
But
I
they're
got
always terrorized by Farkas.
a fun little fact here for you. So we got the Peter and the Wolf music anytime we see Scut. Farkas is Hungarian for wolf.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Well, you are really prepared tonight.
Thank you, sir.
We also have, I don't know where you guys are, but my next note is we get our first meeting of the Bumpus Hounds terrorizing the old man.
Yes.
Mhm.
And this is where he won. He gets his letter and he's, I won. But the Bumpus Hounds, and I love how they're like on his leg and he's kicking him off, and then he shuts the door and the ears or the tail's in there and it's whining.
It's the ear.
And he
It's the-
opens it up and says, serves you right.
Right.
He's so good.
Well, was this around the time they did where they're eating?
Yeah, well, that's my next line is Little
Okay.
Piggies.
Right. And Randy hadn't eaten voluntarily in 3
Yep.
years.
Every family has that one kid that won't eat.
Right.
So she gets him to eat like a little piggy, and the
What
dad
is
just
a little piggy?
watches him and looks at him like, what is going on?
He's absolutely disgusted, and she's all like got the opposite attitude. She's
Yep,
all
she
so
loves it.
cheerful and fun.
Because that's her baby. You know, she wants to keep her baby. So
But Randy or Ralphie too looks at him because Ralphie's like an old soul. He thinks
Yep.
he's so mature, and he looks at him too like, oh my god,
yep.
so good. And then so he won. They get this big delivery, and we got the classic line. What does it give?
Fragile. That must be Italian.
Which, what would even cause you to look at that word? And it's so random, but everybody knows it.
I think it
He
was
was
just because
so
he was so excited.
It's so great.
It's a major award. It's just-
Could be a bowling alley.
how are they gonna deliver a bowling alley?
Well, it's in the deed.
Yep.
And I just love when he gets it open and he takes it out of the box. It's a leg.
And he was thinking like it's a whole statue at first.
It's like a statue, you know.
Mhm.
And
And then Ralphie's like running his hand up it.
oh, I love that. Because there is a little butt cheek too on the top. Of
Yes,
it.
Right,
there is.
right.
Oh my god.
And then they figure out it's a lamp. So he decides to put it right in the front window.
Yep, and goes
And-
outside.
When he turns it on, I love his line. It's indescribably beautiful. It reminds me of the 4th of July.
The 4th of July.
But then the guy walks by, you're like, what is that? Oh, it's a major award.
It's a major award. So that dim-witted neighbor, which is named Swede, that is Bob Clark, the director.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right.
So,
and so Ralphie's fascinated by it. He loves it, but
Yep.
The mother is terrified by this lamp.
She's
She thinks
mortified.
it's hideous, and she's covering her face, and she can't believe it. That'll
and she
come back
tells
pretty soon.
Ralphie, because Ralphie obviously is totally into it, and she tells him, "Well, your favorite show is on." And so the line that I wrote down
Oh,
was,
electric
Ralphie
sex.
says, "Oh, only one thing could drag me away from the electric sex gleaming in the window."
That is such a great
I had that
line.
exact same line written down. It's perfect. The soft glow of electric sex.
So he goes to listen to Little Orphan Annie because that is his favorite show.
Mhm.
All right. The next scene I have is they go to buy a tree.
Yep.
And so this is great for the old man because he gets to haggle. and he loves to haggle, and he gets a deal. He's going to tie to the car. And then they're singing Jingle Bells in the car, and the dad is just like, again, rolling his eyes. It's kind of the opposite of Clark, who would be singing right along with him.
Right. But she's like over the top, loud and annoying.
And they all finish
along with
with
the kids.
fart sound.
And I think it's so funny.
Yeah, they all just right. So the tire blows out, and this leads to yet another iconic moment. So he gets to go out and help his dad, and he's so excited to help his dad. And he didn't do anything wrong. He's just holding, as he's supposed to,
the hubcap.
But the dad flips his arm and knocks all the nuts into the snow. And he yells, "Oh, fudge." But he didn't say fudge.
Perfect slow motion.
You know, and I don't know. I feel like the dad wouldn't care, but he gets in the car and he's like, "Do you know what your son just said?" And they just go nuts.
I think this is a little bit exaggerated because it's how you felt as a kid that your parents would react if you said something like that. And so I think that was it. I think this next little sequence, it's like where the mom is totally overreacting to the whole thing.
She is mad.
It's like that's what you envisioned. Like if your parents got you saying that word, that's going to be the reaction.
Oh, for sure.
So she's washing his mouth out with soap.
Mm-hmm.
And I love she calls the mom of the kid that Ralphie said he heard it from.
He rats out Schwartz,
who says probably from his father.
Right,
and like really the mom doesn't know the dad swears all the time.
Right.
But you can hear the mom on the other end just screaming, What? And then she looks at Ralphie's not even on screen, but you can see her look at him and go, "Don't you give me that look. You're going to get it."
And then you hear Schwartz has no idea what's going on.
Right.
And he's just getting what I do.
Well, and like Ralphie in the narration, I've heard that word 6 times a day in my own house from my father. You know, but he rats Schwartz out immediately.
But this leads to another dream sequence where he gets his parents back because he's blind from soap poisoning.
It was.
And this is where I love how these adult actors playing the parents, they just buy into these dream sequences and they're overacting in these sequences and crying about him. It's so great. And these two they're so under. You know, you think of Ralphie and the kids, but these two parents really make this movie work.
Well, and the fact
what
that
brought you to this lowly state.
The fact that he shows up back at his parents' house, now he's supposedly grown up and coming to see his parents, but yet he's still just this little child. The same, the same Ralphie actor, is coming back, and he's all like dressed up, and he's got a cane, and it's awesome.
Right. So yeah, it's a great one. It reminds me too of at the end he looks and he like lifts his eyebrows like I got him. Reminds me of Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone when he realizes I made them all disappear and he smiles.
Yep.
That was a connection. So he loves Little Orphan Annie. He gets the decoder pin he's been waiting for in the mail. And I love the other time when he looks in the mail and nothing's there and he just shoves it back in the mailbox.
Right, he doesn't actually
doesn't bring it into the house.
Right.
But same thing here though. He gets his pin and he just leaves all the other mail in there.
Right.
So he's reading it and he's like, "Oh, I've got honors and benefits already at the age of 9." So he gets the clue, and he has to go to the bathroom because you got to have a secret place to do this secret code.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
in private.
At this moment, Randy needs to go right away, and the lines from the outside are just fantastic between Randy and the mom. But he finally figures out the code, and it's be sure to drink your Ovaltine. And I just love a crummy commercial. Mm-hmm. Son of a bitch,
right? Yeah, the amount of swearing these, what are they, 9 years old? The amount of swearing these 9-year-olds do amongst themselves is just great. I love it.
And then he walks out of the bathroom, and Randy comes in, and you can see him just right away, just pull his pants down so he can go pee right away. That's a funny scene too.
All right. Now we have the ominous shattering of the lamp.
Oh, that's my next line is crash.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, the dad is obviously working way down in the basement, and then all of a sudden you hear this crash, which no way he could have heard it.
Don't
But
anybody move!
as soon as he hears it, you hear the footsteps come all the way up the steps. What was that?
By the way, this is my only like little criticism here. This is a plastic lamp, and when she's putting it together, it's not going to make any noise. The big shatter. What was the shattering sound from?
I have no idea. The light bulb that was in it, that wouldn't have made that loud. Yeah, that would have.
I just thought that added to the comedy.
It does.
I don't even think it's a criticism.
And
but we have what my favorite line in the movie is coming up.
It was mine too, probably. So he tries to glue it all together. I love how and it's so sad. How it looks terrible, and he thinks he fixed it, and it just falls apart. Go ahead, Pete.
Well, and then the mom explains that they're out of glue. And then he just you used up all the glue on purpose.
Oh, so was that your favorite one?
That's it, yes.
Oh, mine is after that when he leaves to go get something else and he just looks back at everybody. Not a finger.
Yeah.
Well, and I love how Ralphie explains that he buries it in the backyard. Like, he just doesn't throw it away. He actually buries it.
That is a line that my wife and I say all the time. Not a finger. Just because he's so flustered, and it's such a dumb thing to say, and he just can't do it, and it's just so funny. But the glue line is also good. The whole scene is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oscar
the way he's just filled with rage because of this thing.
Well, and not only that, but like it happens a few times in this movie. One is when he gets the lamp and he plugs it in. How have they not burned this house down yet with the electrical that is going on in this?
All the little plugins down there.
Oh my God! There's always like a flash of fire and the fuse goes out, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna burn their house down.
So now Ralphie gets sad because he wrote the theme about the BB gun and he thought it was just the greatest thing he's ever written, and he gets a C-. And on top of that, he gets hit in the face with a snowball and taunted after school, and he is now set off.
This is the point where he's losing hope.
Yeah, and he tackles Scott Farkas, and he beats the shit out of Scott Farkas.
Yes, he does.
And he is swearing, and Randy and the kids are just looking in awe, and Randy gets the mom, and she gets back, and he is still wailing away. I love it when the little kid's name is Grover. And he comes over like, hey, and he's like trying to be nice, and Ralphie just shoves him away, and he falls over with one hand.
Well, and what I love is all the little kids, like as the mom's coming up, they're all like, Ralphie, your mom's gonna hear. Like they're more worried about he's gonna get in trouble for more swearing, because again, he's doing the rack a frack a snick a frack a rack and crack and like just going to town on Scott.
And this is the heart of the movie. When he looks at his mom and he just breaks down in tears while but the emotions, I mean, what a great acting by the little kid.
Yeah.
It just pulls on your heart when he starts to cry. I just think that is so perfect. And the way a kid would react, it's really touching. And the way she treats him is wonderful, of course.
Right. Because she knew he was at his breaking point as well. Like he's just couldn't handle it anymore.
And him and Randy haven't really been that close, but I love how Randy hides in the cabinet and he's crying, and Daddy's going to kill Ralphie. She gives him the milk and just shuts the door on him again, lets him stay in there.
Well, and I love when Dad comes home and sits down at the table and the mom opens the cabinet and Randy climbs out. The dad's look is like, oh, well, yeah, I guess he's under I guess he'd be under the sink. Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
and then when he finds out he was in a fight, it's like whatever. He just moves on. It's like he listens to his wife. She said it's not a big deal.
Yep.
And Ralphie's
she knows how to handle him, and she changes the subject right away to the Packers-Bears game. I see the Packers are playing, or the Bears are playing Green Bay.
Monsters of the Midway. More like what does he call them?
Chipmunks.
Chipmunks.
Yeah.
And this is where I wrote the parents are just the secret weapons in this movie. It's so much of it's about the kids, because that's what it is about, but their performances are what makes this a classic, in my opinion. Yep. So Ralphie cannot seem to get any traction on this BB gun, and he finally has the idea Santa is the answer, because of course you ask Santa, they can't stop Santa. So they head downtown. you mentioned the line earlier about they get in the wrong line, and then they get in the back of the line, and there's this weirdo kid with the goggles on. And
I like Santa.
Wizard of Oz. And Ralphie just looks at him like, "Don't bother me."
Right.
Or no, he said that to the witch.
Yeah.
When a witch comes up to him.
But
I'm thinking, don't bother me. I'm thinking to the witch. But the weird kid, he just goes, yeah, which is exactly how I would have handled the situation, and I still would.
Yeah.
Well, and that kid had the same like cap on that Flick has, except he just had the goggles.
The goggles
in place, just
and he's indoors.
Right.
And everybody's just so angry. It's closing time. The elves and the Santa just can't get out of there fast enough. The kids are all screaming and crying. Ralphie freezes up and says nothing. And he says, "How about a football?" And Ralphie goes, "Well, what's a football?" But then you have another just iconic scene where he gets put in the slide and he stops and says what he wants. And Santa's boot just shoves him in the forehead and knocks him down and says,
"Shoot your eye out, kid.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid."
I thought it was pretty amazing, though, how he's actually able to stop himself on the slide. Like, if you look, he's not gripping on anything other than, like, he's just clawing his fingers and his feet down on the slide and is able to do it.
That is a little kid's determination right there to get what he wants.
Yes.
And the parents find him, and they're both just laying in the fake snow, just, like, passed out because they're both so upset. But now it's Christmas morning. And there's all these different things, but this is where he gets another famous thing, the rabbit jumpsuit from his
Aunt Clara.
aunt.
Before that,
and
though,
the dad has
say
great lines.
I thought it was a good. I thought they did. You're ahead a little bit of
Go
one
ahead.
thing I wanted to say. When he wakes up, I just love the majestic Christmas snow, and he's looking out the window, and he's just in awe. And I thought that the movie conveyed that feeling perfectly. Yeah, and he's just like, wow.
Well,
wow.
And as a
He
kid,
says it twice.
Is there anything better as a kid than that moment you wake up Christmas morning and that rush comes over you of, oh my God, it's Christmas morning. Like there's going to be presents
I always
downstairs.
felt that way more on Christmas Eve, but
no, for me it was like Christmas morning. You wake up and it's like, because you knew you were going to be opening presents like quickly. If you can get downstairs, you can start opening. It was just such a magical moment as a kid.
Good job, Pete. That was necessary.
Yep.
Why, thank you.
But then, so he finds this thing, and the mom's like, "Oh, she gives you such great presents." So he puts it on, and the dad again just saves the day and says, "He looks like a deranged Easter bunny. He looks like a pink nightmare." And I love when he goes, "Are you happy wearing that? Do you want to take it off? Take it off!"
Right.
And he runs upstairs and takes it off. While he's doing that, the mom puts the bowling ball in his lap, and he
right on his crotch.
And he says, and he opens it. Oh, it's a blue ball.
And of course,
the bowling ball.
Well, and of course, they've opened all the presents, and Ralphie's still kind of sullen because, of course, he hasn't gotten the Red Ryder BB gun.
It's so great again. So the mom had her moment, but now the dad gets his moment.
Mm-hmm.
He points him over behind there, and there's the gun. And I love how when he's like loading it and everything, the dad is like he's mentally trying to keep it up with him and do it right. And
the dad's expression on his face when he gives his son that BB gun, because one, he knows that's what he wants. So earlier in the movie, when Ralphie puts the insert,
it's cool because they don't seem to have, like, the dad is so detached as 1940s dad, like comes home, gets dinner. You wouldn't even think he'd know what the kid wants, but that's what's great is he does hear him. He does listen.
There's a reason, because when he puts the insert in his mom's magazine, he put that magazine on his dad's bed, not his mom's bed.
How do you know that?
I read it.
I read it.
So the dad was actually the one that saw the magazine and the insert in it. So the dad knew what he wanted. And like the dad said, he got a gun like that when he was 8 years old. Like you want your kid to experience the joy you had when you were that age and getting that present. So that to me is the best part of that scene, is watching the old man's face, like Brad said, mentally helping him load the gun and
nodding along.
He's just so excited for his kid.
And the mom says, go ahead. Don't shoot any animals or birds. And the dad says, except the Bumpus's dogs.
Yes.
So, of course, he goes out and shoots his glasses off right away.
Yep.
And so I have a question. Is this a real thing? Like,
Yes.
What?
they shoot backwards? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
here-
not,
here's
I'm
the-
not familiar.
Here's the
It
reason
ricocheted
why.
off of the target. His problem was he put the target on a solid background, and it ricocheted back. Is what I always thought happened.
It was on a
From that
metal.
distance?
It's on a metal sign. So here's the reason for that.
Okay.
Again, as the resident ballistics expert. So a BB,
Pete was
is
this in a different episode.
well, that's true. But I was that on the anyway. The BB, because it's round and it's not fired at a extreme high rate of speed like a regular firearm. The BB being round allows it to deflect, and it doesn't have enough power to actually go through a lot of hard surfaces like the metal sign that Ralphie had his target on. And kids tend to stand closer to their targets than you would with a
So
regular
he
firearm.
shoots a target and it bounces all the
Yep.
way straight back. See, I always
Yes.
thought it like somehow they shoot back, like something in the gun, like they
Nope.
shoot backwards out of there while the ones go out, but the other ones come back. I never understood the eye thing. Like, why would that happen?
Yeah, because the
ricochet.
BB doesn't have
It's
enough
ricochet.
power to actually go through whatever's behind the target.
Well,
So
you
it
still learn new
deflects
things
back.
every day.
Yep. Yeah.
So he says it's an icicle. He also
comes up
steps
with
on
another
his glasses. It's so sad when he steps on his glasses because you're like, oh my God, he's going to get away. It's not a big deal. But then he does that and it's like,
Yep.
oh, crap.
But again, the
Mhm.
conniving mind of Ralphie comes up with a quick story to get him out of it, of course.
You have to whip up some tears.
And she buys it.
Yep.
So she's helping him, and the dad is a turkey junkie.
Yes.
And she's yelling at him from upstairs, don't touch that turkey, you'll get worms. But he's in reading his paper, and the dogs get in. Somehow the door was left open, and they ruin the turkey. And this is, so the other line we say all the time, he goes out the door, sons of bitches, bumpuses.
You did
God,
skip
that's
over
great.
one thing when she's helping him. When he breaks the fourth wall, looks at the camera,
he looks
and,
again and
and
winks,
says,
yeah.
"I had pulled it off."
Mhm.
Oh,
my
but I
God.
love that. Bumpuses.
Yes, and the Bumpus's dogs again. Yes.
But then they have the final scene at the restaurant because he's like, we're going out, and there's only one place open, and
Chinese
they
restaurant.
put
Yep.
this duck on the table, and he's like, the duck, it's smiling at me. So the guy just takes a big machete and chops the neck right off.
And the mom just like screams. She's
But they're all
laughing.
laughing.
She's surprised.
They're like delirious at this point.
Well,
Right.
yeah, she's laughing and crying at the same time. It's like
Right.
it seems like she's devastated and just giving up in the moment.
Well,
you know,
and the movie ends the
I was
same
gonna
way
say if it ended
started.
there, it'd be okay. But the ending is fantastic.
Well, the song that finishes it again is "Deck the Halls," and the workers at the Chinese restaurant are
Oh, well, this
singing.
isn't the end yet.
No, but isn't that the last song though? That's
Well,
playing?
but then after that, they go
Yeah.
back to their house, and we see them at night, mom and dad
Oh,
on the
mom and dad.
couch
Yeah.
in the quiet Christmas night, looking at the snow and the tree in the dark. Kids are asleep, and they're just taking in that they did it, and I just love that. It sets that great vibe at the end, and especially now being a parent,
Mhm.
you can relate to that scene more than you could have as a kid.
Correct.
It's such a fantastic, calm ending. I love it. It's great.
Mhm.
And Silent Night is playing. It's a calm Christmas
Oh
song.
yeah, you're right. You're right. I was just thinking how great the workers were at singing "Deck the Halls." That was really good.
Yeah.
And Jingle Bells.
And
Well,
Jingle
and I think that scene is considered, I don't know, problematic and racist, but I don't know. What do you, I mean, it's 1983, and so let's just
I
move
didn't
on
think-
from that.
Yeah.
Those guys are happy to share Christmas with
Yes.
the customers. Like, everybody's happy, so let's just let people be happy, okay?
Right. Well, and they're not generally going to have a whole lot of business on
No.
Christmas, so they
No.
have business on Christmas.
And they're learning about Chinese turkey. Their cultures coming
it's a-
together.
it's a
Let's look at
duck,
it in a
but yes.
positive way.
correct.
So, great movie. And so we picked it because there's the new version that came out where Ralphie's an adult and the old man dies.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's right before Christmas. So he has to go back home And so it's all set back in this house, set back in the same town, and there's flashback after flashback. So if you haven't seen it, if you like this movie, I can't imagine you wouldn't really like the new movie
Mhm.
because it's Pete. You described it as perfect. I mean, it's a great
I
homage.
thought it was perfectly done for what it needed to be.
Yeah.
I think, Brad, you
There's
made the
parts
comment
that
that
miss
the
for me a little bit,
original,
but overall,
yeah,
it's
the
great.
original was better, but
Oh,
this
for
one,
sure.
what they needed to do, sometimes a movie like that, you watch it and you're really disappointed by it, and I didn't know going into it, but not disappointed at all. They executed it perfectly.
I expected it to be pretty good because Peter Billingsley has grown up to be a good director, and we talked about him in Elf. Like he's a guy that seems like he knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't make this if it wasn't gonna be good. And
Right.
I wrote down, I think that it was a great mix of the new and the old, and I called it about 80%. There's a little hit and miss here and there, but I called about 80% hit. There's a
Sure.
couple of scenes where like, that didn't quite work for me. But overall, the overall movie was really well. I liked the ending a lot. I actually teared up.
I did too.
I thought the
did
ending was fantastic.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite scenes was when they're in the mom keeps getting injured, and she goes and sits in the lounge at the department store while he does all the shopping.
Yes.
And the kids are going to Santa, and the whole everything going on there is great. And I thought the mom was great. She, by the way, did you recognize her from a show we just talked about?
I could not figure out. I
A
was
small
looking.
part. She was Annabelle Porter, editor of Bloosh magazine on Parks and Rec,
That's what she was.
really?
Okay.
where she would say like what was in and out and all these crazy things.
Okay.
And she had a couple of
Erin
couples.
Hayes
Yeah,
is the actress.
but she's great. And I thought that as a couple, they did a great job. The kids were good. It was a nice mix. I really enjoyed it, and it was definitely worthwhile.
So this movie's set in 1973.
Yeah, it's not a current because it wouldn't work because Ralphie was 10 or whatever in 1983.
Yep.
So it can't be set now, really. So it's another one where it looks back.
Yeah.
Almost
So
50
this
years.
movie, I wouldn't say it's a great standalone movie by any stretch. You need all the nostalgia from the first movie. I love that you've got Ralphie, you've got Flick, you've got
all
Schwartz,
those guys come back, all the kids,
and you have Scott, and you have Randy. Are all in this movie.
Although Randy doesn't have a big role, they kind of threw him in just for a little bit of fun, but he did not have a major role. They could have done without him. And
but I
didn't like his character as much, honestly.
No, that is one where I thought it was kind of weird how they included him.
But they hit a lot of the main things. Like there's a triple dog dare in this one. You needed to have that moment. I didn't really care for the scene, but that was, you needed to have that in there. You see
a little extreme. Yes.
You had the glimpse of the pink bunny suit up in the attic. You had
little things like they weren't in it, but like you saw, if you're watching, you could catch these little things, which was nice.
And of course the house is there. So there's so many things that are nostalgic about it. The movie itself, I didn't think was necessarily that great, but there were parts to it that were fun. And like you say, you do tear up a little bit watching it. It felt a little bit like Christmas Vacation, because in the first one, it was all about Ralphie. And in the second one, it's all about my dad was the best at pulling off Christmas. So to me, it was a little bit more Christmas Vacation-y.
That's the other thing that I thought was a little weird, because in the original movie, I mean, the dad, it's not like he loves Christmas. I mean, maybe he does, but it's not like he's Mr. Christmas. And the way they talk about him in the new one didn't seem to really fit the character from the old one.
Right.
Well, I mean, he did love he had the Christmas tree in the first one, and of course, the big scene was that he got the gift. He got the big gift, the air rifle for him. And I thought that's one thing that tied the movies together really well, was because first of all, Ralphie's personality, I thought, as an adult, it's exactly what you would expect it to be coming out of the child actor, or the child movie. But how much he loves his father and how hurt that he was when his dad died.
Yep.
And it tied back to that one moment where it was a major expression of love when he got that air rifle for him.
Major
So
expression of love. I loved. Oh, I completely forgot what I was just gonna say.
The one
Ralphie,
thing
you talked about the kid. I loved Ralphie. Doesn't he look at the camera and smile a couple times? But he also does a little laugh, like like he redoes the stuff he did as a kid a couple of times, which I thought that was cool.
One of the scenes that I enjoyed and I thought would be kind of fun if you're a kid was the bar scene. I thought him taking his son, because they're having money trouble.
Oh yeah.
Taking his kid, as a kid, you would think that's pretty cool. Like, I get to go hang out at the bar with dad, mix some drinks, answer the phone, like that. I thought that was kind of a fun little scene. And of course, the fact that you've got the actors that played those kids, that was a lot of fun to see that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend it if you really like the original Christmas Story movie. I would recommend watching it.
I mean,
it's a fun watch.
It'd be a weird movie to watch if you've never seen the original. Like,
right.
But if you've seen the original and you like it, it's a really good follow. I mean, it's fun.
It's almost a reboot sequel, almost. So. Not a bad show.
All right. That actually, I think, wraps up our 2022. I can't say that it closes the yearbook on 2022, the entire yearbook.
Yep. The whole
we have
year
a couple more episodes
up
this season, but that's the last episode before the holidays. So we hope that you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, or whatever holidays that you may celebrate.
Yes.
So yeah, how about a little Christmas gift of Preacher Row?
Sounds great.
Gift. With a compass and a stock that tells time.
Mm-hmm.
Or a compass and a stock and this thing that tells time.
And this thing that tells time.
And he thinks that's such great writing.
Yes.
All right. Don't shoot your eye out.
Thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye.
No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your son is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. And start jumping on my back. I turn it up to you. I'm scared, but there's nothing I can do.